Ever since Apple released their AirPods, small wireless charging cases for earbuds have become extremely common. In a possible stroke of genius, Olight has taken that concept and applied it to their popular Baton series, crafting a unique charging solution to complement their tiny EDC light, the newly updated Baton 3. The Baton 3 is a very small EDC flashlight which still boasts an impressive output of over 1000 lumens. The build quality is excellent, the interface is easy to use, and the included magnetic charging case offers some unique advantages. In a very Apple-like fashion, Olight produces some very pretty lights which will certainly attract attention. The beautiful Baton 3 offers a simple and clean design with an excellent build quality, and is very small and portable, powered by a single 16340 battery. The light is built of aluminum with a nice even anodizing in a vibrant red color, while the steel accents are plated in gold. The rear of the light features a magnet and the proprietary MCC charging contacts, while the head has a prominently raised E-switch under a rubber cover. Sitting nearly flush with the head is a stainless steel bezel, which secures and protects the plastic TIR optic below. Opposite the button is a stainless steel two-way clip, which has good retention and allows for clipping the light in either direction. Olight gives the Baton an IPX8 waterproof rating and a 1.5 meter drop rating. The knurling on the body affords a nice grip on the tube, and the whole light feels solidly built while still being very lightweight. The threads are square cut and anodized with an O-ring seal, while the head and tail possess gold-plated springs for shock absorption and good electrical contact. However, the head possesses contacts for both the anode and cathode of the battery, which prevents mechanical lockout. The cell supplied with this light is a proprietary, customized 16340, and only this cell can be charged within the light. Thankfully, the Baton 3 will function with standard 16340 cells. While the build is solid, I do have a couple of issues with this design. For one, the clip can only be attached in one orientation, with the primary carry mode being bezel up, which I don't particularly like. This clip also gets in the way when unscrewing the battery tube. The optic used in the head is pretty nice, but there is no Glacier to protect the plastic from scratches. Below sits a luminous SST40 LED, which provides great performance, but is only available in a cool white temperature. The button isn't very pleasant to use. Though much clickier than my older Baton S2R, it is still a bit indistinct and provides little feedback. In the center of the button is a small indicator light, which displays the remaining charge level, but this light is poorly centered and is rather dim as a result. I don't really like this button, and I wish Olight would start using metal covers on their switches. Finally, though it doesn't affect the functionality of the light, I do find that the Baton 3 badge is rather ugly with its generic font. I just think it's weird when Olight used much nicer labels on their older lights, and this slightly spoils the otherwise very clean and appealing aesthetic of the Baton 3. Overall, the build of the light itself is quite nice, and it will undoubtedly be very durable and reliable over time. Certainly, the other Batons have proven to be quite tough, and this revision has only minor changes over the old design. Of course, the smaller Baton model has always been a good light, but what really makes this version interesting is the included charging case. Clearly taking inspiration from the wireless earbud charging system popularized by Apple, this case contains a lithium-ion battery, which charges the light through the magnetic contacts on the base. The case has a satisfying magnetic lid and a very simple, clean design, and automatically charges the light whenever it is inserted. A USB-C charging port near the bottom is used to charge the case itself, and there are two small indicator LEDs, one near this USB port and another under the lid by the slot for the light. This is a really clever setup, utilizing the already established MCC charging system used in many Olights, and as such will work with older versions of the Baton S1R. However, only this Baton 3 includes a feature that allows the light itself to deactivate if left on when the case is closed, which is a pretty neat addition. This case has two clear advantages, the lesser being that it effectively allows the Baton 3 to be charged with the standard USB-C connection. At low charge, the case will prioritize charging the Baton when plugged in. The other, greater advantage is the fact that the Baton 3 is now a tiny, portable light that has a very convenient, yet still portable case that allows for topping off the cell whenever it is not in use, effectively giving it much greater capacity. This case is perfect for slipping into a bag or purse to provide extra power for the Baton as it is carried. However, as cool as this concept is, it has a few issues, and I am not really sure how I feel about it. First and foremost, the build quality of the light does not extend to the charging case, which is made of plastic and has a rather weak feeling hinge. The port is not covered, with no given water resistance rating, and really doesn't seem capable of weathering much abuse. More importantly to me, the case is built around a 3500 mAh 18650, which cannot be easily removed and replaced. Olight states that this case will charge the baton about 3.7 times, which I verified somewhat unscientifically by draining the light and recharging it within the case until it was depleted. Considering that the baton is equipped with a 550 mAh cell, this means that only about 2000 mAh in total is actually used to charge the light, with the other 1400 mAh basically just being wasted. This figures out to about 57% efficiency, which is understandable but still not very good, especially considering the direct contacts provided by the MCC charger. The case is pretty large, and while I understand that the appeal is to have a small light which can then be added into the case for a top-off when needed, it ultimately results in a system which seems rather bulky considering the amount of charge you actually get. By comparison, Olight's own Warrior Mini 2 comes with a 3500 mAh cell, which altogether provides more useful capacity than a pre-charged Baton 3 and all of the charge available within the case, and is still small enough to be easily pocketable. Yes, the case absolutely does allow for a tiny light, which can be quickly and easily recharged, and for many users this system will make total sense. However, I don't personally think that the added convenience makes up for the trade-off in performance, nor do I personally think that the case is more convenient than just simply carrying a larger light. Perhaps if Olight had fit a larger cell in here, such as a 5Ah 21700, then I might like this much more. Still, I have to respect Olight for implementing this forward-thinking system, and I believe that this has great potential, with only just a few improvements needed. The Baton 3 boasts excellent performance overall. Despite its tiny size, this thing is impressively bright, with a maximum output of almost 1400 lumens, which is held pretty stable for nearly a minute. Turbo on the Baton is very capable of lighting up a large area. However, its small size means that it will very quickly heat up, and the light is programmed to drop down at around 53 seconds, stabilizing at 324 lumens after a minute and 24 seconds of runtime. This output will be maintained for another 75 minutes before dying out. During the turbo runtime, the light will get very hot and can be uncomfortable to hold. This isn't a downside really, it's to be expected in such a small light, but you should be aware of its natural limitations. This 1300 lumens is way more than necessary in the majority of situations anyways, and the light has very well spaced lower modes for more practical usage. I particularly like the low mode of 12 lumens, a great useful amount of light which runs for a respectable 33 hours. High is also quite nice, with 300 lumens running for about an hour and a half. The runtimes for all modes are long, and the output level is very stable for almost the entire duration. Unfortunately, Moonlight mode is quite a bit higher than Olight claims, with my measurement showing 2 full lumens of brightness instead of the advertised half lumen. This will supposedly run for a month, and is great in absolute darkness, but I just wish it wasn't quite so bright. Olight is notorious for using emitters with poor color, but they do manage to balance this somewhat by employing optics which produce great clean beams. The Baton 3 uses one SST40 that is labeled as being between 6000K and 7000K. This wide range is not at all confidence-inspiring, indicating to me that Olight is not carefully selecting their emitters. In my WM2 review, I talked about the emitter in that light being surprisingly good for what it was, with a relatively warm temperature and decent tint. This Baton doesn't fare quite as well. Though similar, it is a bit cooler than my Warrior Mini and displays some unpleasant tint shift. I don't much like it, but I'd be lying if I said this beam made me want to vomit. It's not beautiful, but it's perfectly functional, and usable enough for most scenarios. Warm temps and nice tints are nice, but this light will work just fine, and most people probably won't care anyways, unfortunately. The TAR optic produces a wide, even hotspot and a soft spill that gradually fades out. Though there aren't any major artifacts in the beam, the corona and spill aren't very clean and display a magenta tint, while the center regions are more yellowish green. Again, it's not awful, it's certainly not the worst I've seen, but this light will definitely not appeal to tint snobs. The pattern is however pretty great for general usage, with a maximum intensity of 8123 candela. This provides enough throw for most outdoor usage, and the spill is nice and wide, which provides great area illumination. The simple and effective UI of the Baton is pretty much identical to every other Olight. A single press of the switch from off will turn the light on, and pressing and holding will cycle upwards through the 3 main modes, for which the light has memory. Pressing and holding from off turns the light on to Moonlight mode, which will also be memorized, a convenient feature. Double pressing, whether on or off, will turn the light on to Turbo. If the light is turned off from Turbo, High will be assigned to memory, which is a feature that I find rather annoying. I wish it reverted to the previously memorized mode instead. Another annoying feature is the lockout, which is still the same stupid system used in other Olights. Pressing and holding the light from off for over 2 seconds will lock out the light, and the same will unlock. As I've stated before, the system is kinda terrible, and more than once I have accidentally locked this light out while in a pocket or bag. One unique feature here is the timer function, which has 2 separate settings. On any given mode, a quick double tap and hold will activate the timer. Another tap and hold will switch timer settings. There's a 9-minute and a 3-minute timer, which are indicated by either 1 or 2 blinks when activated. I don't know how useful these really are, but it's a neat addition nonetheless. However, I have found that if you're not careful with your presses, you may instead activate turbo instead of the timer. Ultimately, my opinion on the Baton 3 Premium is a bit conflicted. The standard version of the light comes in at $60 without the case, which is a bit high. I do think that it really is a very good light, being well made and having a great design that packs tons of power into a tiny yet usable package. However, the emitter still offers mediocre color, and there are a couple design choices that annoy me. This price isn't insane, but it's a bit tough to swallow when so many other portable lights are really inexpensive and offer the same functionality as the standard Baton 3. The premium edition that I have here comes in at just under $100, which is definitely a lot of money for a flashlight. I struggle to recommend it at that price, considering my issues with the charging case. In fact, I probably would have preferred the price to be higher to justify a much nicer, sturdier case. It is a good light, and the case does work very well, but it's just too expensive for me. Unless the case seems like the perfect battery solution to you, I can't really recommend it. Still, I have no doubt Olight will sell a huge number of these lights, and the Baton 3 Premium will probably be a great option for many customers. As usual, to those who can afford it, this remains a pretty easy recommendation to more casual users who are simply looking for a nice light. Alrighty, there we go, that's the end of this review. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I bought these lights with my own money on a recent flash sale, so all the opinions expressed here are my own and are unbiased, or at least as unbiased as I can manage. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe to the channel. I have some more awesome stuff coming up soon, so I'll see you guys then. Goodbye. I'm so bad at outros.